go live and go over budgeting tips, as well as some of our tax planning and protection and things like that. So this is first and foremost, my disclosure is this. This is not for anybody that is trying to take advice. This is purely simply for basically educational purposes. So even though I am a CTEC California tax registered tax preparer, and I also sell every line of insurance from home insurance to health insurance, life insurance to pet insurance, anything you can think of, anywhere in between. I am licensed to do that as well. I also do taxes and tax planning, so I'm very well versed in that area. But what this really is about starting points on really creating a budget that works. And what do? A lot of people, they go online, they search for these forms, and those are fabulous, right? We have these little budget forms. Everybody knows we've got to do these calculations. And usually what I find is that people feel like it's not the time. That's usually an excuse, is they don't have the time to do it, and right now they have to catch up first, or they use the excuse that they don't have the money. That's a big one, right? We don't have it. How can I budget? How can I save money when I can barely make ends meet? That's an issue. Or there's people that have no idea what their income, like maybe they're the spouse of somebody. There's going to be excuses every which way you look at it. I'm here to try and help you to see your position and what you can do with it. So what I suggest is, first and foremost, is you need to figure out what it is, your income, whether it is an allowance, whether you make a W-2, whether you have your own business, whatever it is, you need to figure out that number. And so whatever that number is, you're going to write that on a piece of paper. So I suggest people get a piece of paper to do this little fun project with me. So you're going to write that number on your piece of paper. So whatever that is, whether I'm going to use an easy one, I'm just going to use $1,000. I know that's not realistic at all, right? Because there's no way on the planet Earth right now you could afford to live for $1,000 a month. That would be a beautiful thing, but that's not even a feasible thing, right? But let's just say we have $1,000. Now that's our income. What you need to do, and this is one of the projects I have people do first when they come to me for advice on how do they begin to save money or how do they begin to budget, I always tell them what you should do first. Get a notepad, get a piece of paper, I don't care, use your cell phone, everything takes notes nowadays, and keep a log of every penny you spend. So when you stop at the gas station, you'd be surprised. Like when you go put gas in your car, a lot of people go inside and they buy a snack or a bottle of water, and they pay what? Probably 5 to 10 times more than they would had they got it at the grocery store. And I use the example of a bottle of water because a bottle of water at the grocery store, you can buy a case of water at the grocery store for what you pay for one water at a gas station. So those little decisions are very important. If you know every day when you stop for gas, you're going to want a bottle of water, buy a case, have it in your fridge, and bring one in your car. So that is first and foremost, is that you've got to make sure that you're tracking all of your spending. So 100% of what you're spending. And that's the only way you can start, because what you will begin to see is you're going to begin to see gaps. You're going to begin to see like, oh my gosh, I spent $20 here, $15 here, $5 here that I didn't need to spend. That's your savings right there. Simple, easy peasy. Now, some of you are like, Jenna, I don't do that. I get that. Some of us don't do that, right? Some of us are more penny conscious than others. If you are more penny conscious than others, I will challenge you with other ways to make that extra $20 to $50 a month to where you're going to be able to start to see your growth in your budget. Because how you're going to grow your budget is by saving. And we live in a society where we impulse buy. We have media, social media coming at us 24/7, right? And so it's in our face. It's how do we not do that? Very simply, you have to have willpower. And how you do that is you make sure you know what it is you really want and you don't deprive yourself of those things. And that's what's really key, is to know what the end goal is. One thing that I tell people that I do is I always have a vacation planned twice a year, and I have it 6 months out. That gives me something to look forward to. And then I always think like, okay, well, I don't want to spend now because I want to have this money later. And so that helps me to be able to not waste my money. Because monthly to budget, this should not at all, it's not a punishment to put you on a budget. Everybody's on a budget. It's kind of like that diet rule, right? It's like we're all on a diet. It's like, are you on a high protein diet? Are you on a low fat diet? Are you on a low sodium diet? We're all on a diet. We are all on a budget. And that's one thing when I tell people that come to me for taxes and tax planning is that It does not matter how much money you make, because the bottom line is a habit is a habit. Meaning, if you're going to spend, if that's your nature, it doesn't matter if you make 500, 5,000, $5 million. Your habits are your habits, and you're going to do that. You're just going to escalate it at a different level. And so what I try to do with people is to let them make their own conclusion of what, and become self-aware of what they're doing that's preventing them to hit their goals. So it's not a punishment, and this is all up to you, and it's what your end goal really wants to be. So when we think about budgeting as the first starting point, you also have to then pause and take a moment and think about your end goal. And this is what we do when someone asks me to do a tax plan or help them get to, their retirement, they want to, whatever it is they want to do. The first thing I ask them is, you have to ask yourself that question. Why is it that you even want to save money, right? Is it because you want to buy a home? Are you trying to buy a car? Are you trying to retire? You need to have that goal. So whatever it is. And when I ask people if money and time that's not even in the equation, what would it be you would be doing? If you could do anything in the world and you don't have to think about money being an issue or time being an issue or even your health being an issue, what is it that you would love to do? Where do you see your happy point? And when you come to that conclusion, 9 times out of 10, I hear something silly that we all like to say. I want to be on a beach in Tahiti drinking a martini, right? Something similar to that. It might not be exactly that, but it's something really like, I would say like an impulse emotion. An impulse emotion, meaning we enjoy it, but that's not sustainable. You wouldn't really want to do that forever. Would you really want to do that forever? I don't believe you would. We have hobbies, we have family, we have friends. There are things that you want in your life. So with that being said, that is the first thing you need to do, is figure out what it really is, because we are brainwashed by society and social media to believe that we have to get up, get dressed, brush our teeth, go to school or go to work. Like, let's talk about when we're kids, right? We get up, we go to school, right? We get our education, we have to go to college, we meet that person that we love, we get married, we graduate from college, we buy a home, because that's what you do. You got to buy a home, then you have a kid or 2 or 3 or however many your parents want you to have. And then those kids, you have to raise those kids. They have to go off to college. Maybe you're going to church or something, depending on what your family beliefs are in here. And then after everybody's out of the house, you're empty nest. Now you're going to move to Florida or wherever it is, nice climate. You're going to sell that house and move into a senior living place or whatever it is with all your other old friends. And that's the American dream. Well, we all march to that drum, right? We all think, okay, well, we've got to buy a house. I've got to go to college. I've got to do these things. Now take that and try to wipe your brain clear of that whole notion that you have to do these things, because you absolutely do not have to do these things. You absolutely don't. And what's more important is, there are many successful people, and there are even more happier people that don't follow this little beat to the drum. So that's what you need to ask yourself. Why do you want to buy a house? I own my house, but I will tell you, I thought that when I bought my house, I could not wait to tell my parents, rest in peace, but because I was so proud that I had accomplished that goal in life. I did it. I was only 30 years old. I did it by myself. I bought my house. And now you have to worry about getting a new roof every 10 years. You've got to worry about the plumbing. Anything breaks, you've got property taxes, you have this, that, and the other, you have insurance. You have all these worries, and guess what? That vacation money that I would love to go to Hawaii, and I'd love to go to Europe, and I'd love to do these things, I got to get a new roof instead. So there's pros and cons about both, right? And so you look at that, like, do I really need to own a house? And is it really worth it? People say, well, it's an investment. Well, you could own property and not live in it. You can have a rental property if that's what you're looking for as an investment, right? So really think outside the box. Don't just think by what the drum that America has us dancing to, because you don't need to do that. You need to figure out what it is that you want to do. And so that's the number one thing, is even why are you even wanting to do a budget? Who knows, unless you do. Because we can't get you to where you want to be if you don't know where you want to be. And 9 times out of 10, most people don't. And so that's going to be your biggest thing that you're going to be thinking about, is like, truly, what do I want? Am I doing this because I want to do this? I'm doing this because society wants me to do this? Family wants me to do this? What's the purpose here? So that's just one example. You don't have to get married, you don't have to have kids, you can do whatever you want, or you could do those things, but you have to figure that out. And then what we do is we call reverse engineer that. So we take where you're going to end up, right? Where you want to be in 10, 20, 30, 50 years, however, who knows how old you are. And then we create a plan to get there. But the first part of the plan, you're going to take two big steps today. The biggest two steps are, number one, you're going to figure out what it is your plan's going to be. That has to be. You can't, there's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. You have to know. There's nobody that can walk you through this like miracle plan. There's nobody that can tell you this is where you should be. Graduate college, do this, do that, do this, and then you're going to be happy. No, it doesn't work like that. It would be nice if it did, but it absolutely does not. So you have to figure that piece out on your own. And then the other thing is to figure out what it's going to take to get you there. Now, I will tell you, almost everything in life costs money. No matter what we do, practically costs money. So that is an important part of this puzzle, is getting your budget right. But getting your budget, like I said at the very beginning, it's not about saving 100, saving 1,000, saving 10,000. It's about changing habits. Changing habits. How do you change a habit? You change a habit by taking the effort, and it takes 21 days usually. Some people say longer, some people say less. I don't know. I'm not an expert. But you have to do it one step at a time. Change those habits. So if your habit is to stop at the gas station and buy a Coke on the way to work, stop it. If you want a Coke, have a 12-pack in your fridge, take it with you. You just saved a big chunk of money right there. Now, those are little increments of how you can save money. Another one is when you're doing your spring cleaning, I always tell people, either you never throw things away, and that doesn't mean you have to be a hoarder or your house has to be messy. What it means is you either take it to the Goodwill or wherever charity you want, reputable charity, and get them to give you a little credit thing so you can deduct it on your taxes, right? Or you sell it. You can go to eBay, Mercari, oh my gosh, there's a ton of them. I can't even think of them all. There's a ton, right? Etsy, and there's everything that you can sell online now. And a lot of times you're like, who would want this? Somebody does. I guarantee there's something in your house right now that you think is garbage, but you could actually get a nice little penny for and put that right into your budget account. And that's another thing with people that I work with. We do it like in a class environment, and it's kind of fun because you get to challenge each other, and you go home and you have the challenge of cleaning out your closet and see who can make the most money after cleaning out the closet. And whether it's having a yard sale, whether it's donating, no matter what. And it's really a fun thing to do, especially when you make it a little bit competitive. But that's another thing. You have money, open up your closet. There is a sweater that you've never worn or you'll never wear again. And you have a pair of sunglasses, which you have 100 pairs of sunglasses. You can't wear them all at the same time. So there's a lot of ways that you can make money that you don't think you can. I'm going to give you an example of a way that I have made money this year, which is kind of shocking, and it was really fun to celebrate with my husband last night. I have my Fidelity credit card that I use, and I really believe that everybody should do this. Use a credit card, and make sure you use a credit card that pays you. So you want a credit card that's going to pay you back. You want them to give you either miles or cash back or something. You don't want to ever use credit just to be using credit. Couple of things why you use credit is because when you get your paycheck or however you're getting your income, you put that in your savings account and you leave it there all month long. Instead of spending your cash, leave it there because it's growing money. And I don't care if it's growing 25 cents, it's still growing money. Your money should be always working for you. So you leave that in your account, not in your checking, put it in your savings. Checking accounts don't make crap. Put it in your savings account, leave it there all month. Use your credit card for things you're going to have to buy anyway, right? Don't go run up your credit where you can't pay it off, because you want to pay that bill at the end of the month. And at the end of the month, after you've used that all month, you then take your savings and you pay that off and you repeat. Why you do that is because your money's in the savings account making money for you. Your credit card is making money for you. It's giving you cash back rewards. And there's another bonus. At the end of the month, you have what we call a statement. And your statement shows us exactly everywhere you spent your money. We don't have to go back and guess. You know exactly where you spent it. It's a ledger for tax purposes. It's a ledger for anything we need. We know exactly where you spent your money, and it helps you to have really clean records. So those are a few reasons to use credit cards. Now, I do this. I use a credit card. My credit card with Fidelity, which I'm not promoting Fidelity. I'm just saying that's the one I happen to use for my expenditures for the most part. I also like Capital One and Bank of America. There's a lot of good banks out there. But the reason I choose this one is because I get to take that money and I get to put it right into my Fidelity investments. And so what I do is when I get the money into my Fidelity investments, I get to invest in different stocks and bonds, right? And so I like to play the market a little bit. Now, this is not market advice at all, and I'm not going to tell you how I play the market, but I will take those and I will invest it. And I will tell you that I was looking at how much money I made from the last quarter, which is 3 months and a quarter. And from last quarter, I made over $3,000. I made $3,600. I withdrew $3,000. But when I shared this with my husband, that money I made, that gamble, because right when we invest in securities, they could go up or down. So they're not telling you to do this, but I did because it was free money to me is how I looked at it. Came right from my credit card, went to my Fidelity account. I got to choose some stocks that I wanted to play, and I put it in my stocks, and I got to watch them and see how they were performing. And then after the quarter, I made $3,600, and I spent $0 doing that. So that's what we talk about when we talk about return on investment. That was money that I would not have had. It was money that I didn't even take my own savings and putting in. I took money that was given to me from spending my own money. So there is some ways there that kind of like you can figure out how to, I don't want to say manipulate the system, but just utilize the system to do for you what it needs to do. Credit is very important to have credit. A lot of people think, well, I don't believe in credit. Credit's money you don't have. I am right there with you. I believed that for a very long time. But then it came down to, if you don't have credit, you spend a lot more for things. It's gonna cost you more buying a house, buying a car, anything. And if you think about young people when you're 18, 19, in their 20s, everything costs more because you don't have established credit. When you have established credit, you actually pay less. And that it's kind of a sad situation, but it's because risk. When we talk about risk, bankers have to look at risk. Insurance companies look at risk. So everybody looks at risk, right? So therefore, if you use that credit card, you're showing and you're establishing, you use it, you pay it off, you use it, you pay it off, you're establishing good credit. And what you're doing is actually just using money you would be spending anyway. So it doesn't hurt you if you use it right. And that's what's important, is using it right. Now, I will tell you, you can sit down at a table with, I work with wealth managers all the time. Sit down at a table of 20 of them. Tell everybody to pull out their wallets. How much cash do you think they have on them? Usually none, to be honest. Everybody, this world is in electronics. We all work on Bitcoin and using our credit cards for everything and our reputation for everything. So that's the next key component here. So number one is you need to make sure you know where you want to be, and you need to start a budget. So that's the first thing that you need to do. Number two is be realistic with knowing where we are in today's world. Today's world is all electronics. You're getting it to you fast, and it's coming at you so fast we can't even keep up. Now, with that being said, think about it like this. If everything is electronics, your reputation is all you have, right? Because having good credit, if you don't have good credit, you're not going to be able to do a lot of things. If you don't have a good reputation, you won't get very far. So that is the second thing you absolutely have to work on, is getting your credit up. You need to make sure those credit scores are up. Know your credit score, know what's on your credit. If you have anything medical on your credit, dispute it, because medical bills no longer can be on your credit report. If you have anything on your credit report that you don't know what it is, dispute it. There's a lot of times nowadays with everything being so electronic, there could be things on there that should not be on there. Anything's been on there for over 7 years, dispute it. When you dispute anything on your credit report, and this is another big important one, don't do it to where you're hitting the dispute button and you're doing an online dispute. Write down the addresses, and this is old school, but take the time and go ahead, and you're going to actually write out a letter to each individual credit reporter, because Experian and all the different credit card places that actually provide your credit score for you. The reason you're doing your disputes like this is a couple of reasons. Number one is because they only have 30 days to get back to you. And number two is when you're working with human beings, they tend to be less responsible than a computer, and they're not as fast and whatnot. I don't want to like throw people under the bus because people work for these companies. But anyway, 9 times out of 10, when you go ahead and you write the letter into the company, what it does, it has to go through the mailroom, has to go to the people, has to finally get on someone's desk. Somebody has to open it, somebody has to read it, somebody has to go and do their legwork, or they actually have to go do the research on it, find out what it is you're disputing, right? If you're disputing, I don't know, you have an old credit card that says it was in default from 2 years ago and it was Victoria's Secret or something, whatever. They have to actually do the legwork And it's their responsibility to find out all the information and then get back to you and tell you why they think it's legit or why they don't think it's legit, right? That you're disputing this. Now, 9 times out of 10, they don't get back to you and they miss that 30-day deadline. That has to come off your credit report. So very easy to clean up a credit score on things like that. You can get those right off your credit score. That's very important because you want your credit score to be higher. So that's one little tidbit on writing in the letters as opposed to doing it online. You do it online, it's immediately going to a computer base, and who knows what's in that computer base. And it's hard to dispute what a computer is going to say because they're going by how that initially got there anyways, which could have been not legit. So definitely take the time to write a letter in. And make sure, if you don't certify it, you don't need to certify it. I don't suggest you do, but just make sure you track it, get a tracking on it so that you know if it's going to be there in a week or 3 days or whatnot, so you can make sure that it does arrive, because that is important. But that is another thing. Credit score, huge. And why I brought up the wealthy people sitting all at the table and pulling out their cash is because they don't use cash. And you'll talk to some of the most wealthiest people and they actually don't even own all the things that you think they're wealthy. They have them in their LLCs and all their business names and things like that because they want to protect themselves. They don't want to be sued. They don't want to lose what they've earned. And so that is a key component once you start to expand and once you start to like really grow your investments. But that's not what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about the beginning starting points of budgeting, credit scores, figuring out where you want to be, how you're going to get there, and little steps that you can take to get there. Now, the other thing is some of you need to look at your income and how you're getting paid. Now, if you have a side gig or you have your own business, or even if you have a W-2 job, one of the things that we look at is people undervaluing what they do. Now, if you have been working and you deserve a raise and you haven't gotten one, you need to make sure that you go and get that raise. And I know a lot of times people are like, I can't do that. I've been working with the same company 20 years. You have. And usually that's the people that actually deserve the raises the most, because there's only increment raises that are given usually on an annually basis, and companies have budgets and things. But usually what I've seen is when a company will go and they will actually hire outside the company to bring a new person in, that new person usually comes in at a higher rate. And it seems like, wow, that's so unfair. Well, it is, but it isn't. And it's because they're going by the economy today. And your raises are incremental, and they're usually connected to some type of inflation or percentage. And if we're going off a percentage, you can only increase so much. So if the max your employer can give you as a percentage would say like 5%, well, 5% of what your low wage is never going to catch up to where you need to be. So you need to be aggressive, and you need to say, hey, and you need to really think about it, but you need to come up with some way to articulate that to your employer, because you're happy with your job, and I'm sure they're happy with you. You've been there so long. So that's another thing, is knowing your value and not being afraid to ask for more money, because in the economy we live in, it's very hard to keep up with inflation. So with that, go to ChatGPT or something like that. Have them help you if you're not, I can't write a letter, I don't know what to say. ChatGPT, AI, you've got to start using it. That's another thing. Everybody uses it. If you don't use it, you're going to fall behind. A headache. I would say I'm not computer savvy at all. Like, as far as, I'm 51 years old, and my gosh, I do taxes and I have my software, and that's all I use. So for me, it was really challenging to start to learn these things, but when I did, it was so eye-opening, and I learned how I could get so much more done so much faster by utilizing this tool. This tool is not to take over the world or things like that. This tool is honestly to help you articulate what you wanted to say, or to help you get things done faster, or maybe create a list or create a mass email that goes out to your friends, or whatever it is. Just go and play with it. ChatGPT, go play with it. Tell me if you hate it, but at least try it. So I would suggest doing that. And when we talk about value, I saw this is not an original. I saw somebody else use this example, and I'm going to steal it because it was a very, very, very good point. If you have a bottle of water, right? That bottle of water, whether you buy it from the grocery store, you buy it from an airport, you buy it from the corner market, no matter where you get that bottle of water, same brand, everything, same contents, everything about that water does not change. It's the same water. It is not priced the same. So what we learn from that is we learn that value, right? What is it value? What more is it value to you at the airport when you've already gone through, you're checking, you've already gone through security, you're not going back out. Are you willing to pay $5 to $10 for that water? Yes, you are. Where at the grocery store, you're buying a whole case for $3 to $5. Where at the corner store, you're paying $2 to $3. So just look at it like that. When it's the same bottle of water, it's the value that we put on it that we need at that point. That's the same thing you need to do for yourself. Your value should be the highest possible. It shouldn't be, you shouldn't be that grocery store quick buy. You should be that airport value. And so that's something that everybody needs to kind of look at. That it's like, how do I value what I bring to the table? And that in itself will help get you to where you where you really need to be. So now let's just recap real quick. So what we've covered so far is we covered A, knowing what your end goal is. So when we ask if you retire today, where you'd want to be, if money and health and time weren't an object, where would you see yourself retiring? And that's important because a lot of people don't know that. And so you need to know that, because you can't get there if you don't know where there is. Decide that. Secondly, what we would do is we'd reverse engineer that to where we need to, what's going to take to get there. That is going to be a plan for us later. But we start here with the budget. And your budget needs to be started by what you're spending. So you have your income already, but when I say write a log of every dime you're spending, meaning for a whole week. I like people to do it for a whole month, but a week has been like the sweet point that people actually do it for a week. So write it for a week. And I don't mean carry a piece of paper with you every time you go somewhere. I mean, at the end of the night or the morning, whenever's convenient for you, write down everything you spent. The reason you're doing that is so that you can see those gaps where you're wasting 5, 10, because a lot of times you seeing those gaps is really what makes you buy into saving that money. Because you're like, okay, well, number one thing people say to me when they come to me is, I don't have an extra $100 or $500 or what a month. Okay, I will take that. Now let's do a little project. You go ahead and you write down every penny you spend all month, and we'll see if we can't find a few dollars here and there. Guarantee we can. And the other thing was to clean out that garage, clean out that junk drawer, sell it, you put that on eBay, somebody wants it, you're not using it, get rid of it, get that money in your bank, making money for you. Use a credit card, get cash back rewards, make sure you have your checks and savings, not in checking. Checking doesn't make you money, put it in a savings account. Those little things are not really changing your life at all, but you're already starting to make a difference towards your goal. So that's a beginning point. Now, everybody also, I tell them to, with your immediate family especially, share what your goals are. So if your goal is to, you want to go to Europe next year, and so your goal is you want to save $10,000, let people know. So that's the expectation. I do that. I have 6 children, grown to little, and letting them know what the goals are and why I'm doing the things I'm doing, it really, really does play a huge benefit. So that way people, because how many times you buy somebody a gift and it's like, oh, thank you so much. And we do that because we care and we want to bring value to people we love. But at the same time, it usually goes in that junk drawer that could be sold on eBay. It's not a value. I mean, I bought my husband a Snoop on a shelf or something like that. I mean, he thought it was funny, but he laughed for 5 minutes, and then where does it go? It goes in the closet. I mean, it'll probably go as an white elephant gift next year or something. I don't know, but we do a lot of wasteful spending. So that's the number one thing, is to see where that wasteful spending is. Make sure you communicate what your goals are, so people don't all of a sudden just think like, hey, mom didn't get me anything for Valentine's Day. Well, mom shouldn't be getting you things for Valentine's Day. That's not what it's about. So write them a card. I love you, baby. So those are some key things, key elements. I'm just going to look at what my notes are here so I don't fall off track too bad. I speak fast because I know people don't hang around very long. So I know if I want anybody to hear anything that I think is important, I have to speak fast. Okay. And, sorry, I have to answer this real quick. This is rude, but I don't think anybody's on right now. I don't believe they are. Yeah. So I'm going to probably get off and go because I think this has been long enough. And I kicked my family out of the house for this my dirty house. I could be obviously cleaning my house right now, but I wanted the boys to go because I had promised I would do a quick little budget thing. I do taxes, I do insurance, and that's the next step. Is first we've got to see where you are financially. Then you've got to make sure you have your emergency fund. Everyone should have an emergency fund for 1 to 6 months, depending on. We always want longer, but we'll talk about that later. And then after that comes protection. And a lot of times people don't look at insurance as something that they need. And, you know, it is very much a selfless purchase because most times you're not going to get the benefit out of it. The people that you love will. And so that's really hard. But there are insurance policies that actually benefit you while you're here and protect your assets. So we're going to talk a little bit about that on my next time that I do one of these little podcasts or whatever they are. So we'll go over that. But also, so we've got budget, emergency fund, protection. Then that's where you go into your savings and investing. And that's where it gets a lot of fun. And that's where it's almost like if you're a person that likes sports or you like video games or you're competitive or just an organizer, anything like that, you will enjoy it because the more you learn about finance and more you learn about investments, it's like speaking another language. It's something that until you get yourself engrossed in it and really understand it, it's not fun. But once you truly understand it and take the time to learn about it, it becomes like exciting to you. And I'm not saying you have to invest all your money into like the market. That's not what I'm saying. There's going to be real estate. There's going to be side gigs. There's going to be the market. There's going to be, you know, whatever it is. There's no two people will have the same path. That's what's really important. It would be nice if we could just hand you a book and say, hey, this is what's going to make your life happy. That's not how it works. How it works is you have to figure out what it is that makes your life happy. And then from there, we build a plan that goes with it. But everyone is individual. Everyone has different spots in their life. And it's going to be different along different, if you are in your teens as opposed to 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever, it changes. Your goals are going to change. The things you need to be doing are going to change. And so that's another thing to think about and look at is that, you know, you can't talk to Joe next door and, hey, see what he's doing because I like his boat. That's not how it's going to work. So don't even go there. Same with taxes. That's another thing. We're in tax season. So important. It is so frustrating to me how the most wealthy people in our country pay the littlest amount of taxes. And it's okay. I think they should. And the reason I think they should is because look at it like this. It's a business, right? Our economy, our government, how they spend our money, okay, we pay them. Every time we spend $1, we pay taxes. Every time we earn $1, we pay taxes. We pay taxes on top of taxes on top of taxes on top of taxes. And you continue to do it. And we do it like we're doing the beat of the drum, right? We're doing exactly what the world wants us to do. That's the two things that are inevitable in life is you die and you pay taxes, right? That's what we are told. We have to pay taxes. Well, you can put the money to work for you if you want to. If you want to take the time and have someone help you plan that, you can do that. You can be like Elon Musk and like Donald Trump and all these people that don't pay taxes, or even like Jeff Bezos, who actually got a child's credit on his taxes. Amazing to me. When Donald Trump paid $700 in taxes. I mean, that is to me amazing. And yet we have our working class, and even below our working class, our poverty level people are paying more taxes than these people are. And there's a reason. It's because we think we're brainwashed, right? You go online and you think, oh, I get my taxes done for free and I'll get $1,000 back. And you're happy with that little $1,000. Little did you know you probably could have got 20 times that back. It might have cost you $300 to do it. And that's where we'll figure out like where the value comes in. What do you really value? But it's very, very important to understand that it's not illegal what these people do. It is very much legal what they're doing. There's a tax code for a reason. And back to this economy and our government, if I came to you right now and I said, hey, will you invest? I want you to give me, 20% of all your earnings, because that's pretty much what everybody's doing, right? 20% is going to the government. Give me 20%, at least 10. So even if you're the bottom of the barrel, you have the littlest amount of income, you're paying at least 10% taxes. So 10% of everything you earn, I need you to give it to me, and I'm going to make what I want. I'm going to do my business great. I'm going to do this economy, whatever. Now, you would want to see my books. You'd want to see what my plan was. You'd want to see the results. You'd want to see those things. And the reason you want to see those things is because you wouldn't want your money to go to nothing. Well, that's what's happening with our government. Is our government getting us out of debt? What are we doing with that money? Now, I'm not saying don't invest in the country. I'm saying you invest in the country. You go buy that rental property. You go invest in your charity, your local community. You go donate that money to your local community to do something in your local community instead of giving it to the federal government, where who knows where it's going to go. It's going to go to buy, I don't know, a drone or something that's going to go spy on Pakistan. It's going to be like, you need to look at it like a business. You need to look at your tax money like it's a business. So when you're paying the taxes to the government, because that's what you think you have to do, make sure you talk to somebody, because you can take that money and you can make it work for you. And you can be investing in your country without giving it to someone else that's shown that they're not a good business. They're not a good business model. Why would we continue to give this money to our government who's not doing what we need them to do? So that's all I'm saying about that. So I'm going to get off my soapbox here and just have you think about that for a minute. If the government was a business, would you continue year after year giving your money to them? Would you? Or would you look at other ways to invest your money? More than likely, I hope that you would say you would. And I hope that everybody thinks that it's essential to actually talk to a tax professional, talk to an attorney, talk to these people. A lot of times people, I can't afford that. Yes, you can. You cannot afford not to do that, because they're in the business to help you. And I've never, ever once had a client that did not benefit from the time we've spent together. Hands down, 100% of the time, I can say that there's always something they didn't know. And the reason is, you will never know the tax law 100% if you're not in taxes, because it changes. It's like, a lot of times people are like, oh, I know this, or this is what I got last year. I hear that all the time. Well, last year I got this. Well, guess what? Last year is not this year. Totally different laws, totally different rules. And especially this year with all the changes that we've seen, I'm just saying, take the time to get a free consultant. Just talk to somebody, just see, and get a plan, because there's so many ways that you can keep your money for you, keep it for your retirement, add it to your budget, add it so you can go to Europe next year, whatever it is you want to do. But that is kind of, I'm going to end it on that because it's been a while. My boys probably will be getting home soon. I'm going to follow up though. I'm going to do this again. And even if I don't have any viewers, I'm going to still do it because I think it's important to be online, and it's casual. I call it Casual Sunday, but it's actually Monday, but Monday, today's a holiday. But I just wanted to say thank you to people that showed up and that did watch, and, you know, just save your money and have your money work for you. And that's all you need to do. I mean, why give it to people that aren't going to do with it what you could do with it? So in a nutshell, that's what I'll end on. I'll just end on that your budget is not about limits. It's about freedom. And that's what it is. You're not limiting yourself. You're not cutting out that Starbucks every day. What you're doing is you're organizing your life, and you're taking control of your life, and you're going to have so much of a peace of mind. You're going to sleep well at night. You're going to get rid of that stress. And I honestly believe the worst thing you can have in life is stress. So please relax, listen to some music, do some meditation, and just really think about what it is your goals are and how you're going to get to them. And I would love to help you dissect all the way down to reverse engineer how we're going to get you to achieve your goals. So I look forward to chatting with everybody. You have a great, wonderful, fabulous day and week, and I'll talk to you soon. Feel free to IM me or DM me or send me an email. I look forward to chatting with everybody. Oh, it's going to go dead. I'm not going to do Q&A because there's no one here to do Q&A with. Wants me to do Q&As. I don't want to do Q&As.